Welcome to CNN 10 on this Thursday, January 30th, and thank you for watching from CNN10.com or on YouTube. My name is Carl Azuz, and today's show starts in the U.S. Capitol. Yesterday at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump unveiled his administration's plan for peace between Israelis and Palestinians in the Middle East. The plan itself is an 80-page document. The American leader says it presents a win-win opportunity for both sides that would help Palestinians achieve an independent country of their own and that would make sure Israeli security would not be put at risk. President Trump called the plan a realistic two-state solution that allows Israel to take a giant step toward peace. But like the plans of previous American leaders, this proposal is controversial. Critics say it strongly favors the interests of Israel over those of the Palestinians. And though Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it the opportunity of the century that Israel would not miss, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas called it the, quote, slap of the century and said there was nothing new in it. Part of the plan and the controversy concerns Jerusalem. It's a city that's holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Though the White House proposal suggests doubling the amount of territory controlled by Palestinians, President Trump says it would also keep Jerusalem the undivided capital of Israel. That's something Palestinian President Abbas rejected, saying Jerusalem is not for sale and not for bargain. That issue is just one of the disagreements that makes a Middle East peace plan so difficult to achieve.
The idea behind a two-state solution is an Israeli state next to a Palestinian state. Two states living side by side in peace and security. That's been the goal of virtually the entire international community for decades. So why hasn't it happened yet? Well, both sides blame each other, but at the center of a two-state solution are some very sensitive and very complex issues. One of those issues is Jerusalem. Both sides claim all or part of the holy city as their capital, but there are also more issues. Borders. Where would you draw the line between an Israeli state and a Palestinian state? Settlements. What would you do with Israeli settlements in the West Bank? And refugees. What happens to Palestinian refugees? All of these are very sensitive issues that need to be discussed before a final two-state solution can be recognized.
10-second trivia. On average, how many full moons are there in a year? 11, 12, 10, or 14? In most years, there are 12 full moons, one occurring per month. But this year, there will be 13, with 2 full moons in October, and when you have 2 full moons in 1 month, you have what's said to be a blue moon. But blue is just one of the 13 named moons we'll have this year. The others include the worm moon, buck moon, sturgeon moon. According to the Farmer's Almanac, Native Americans gave them these names to keep track of the seasons. January's wolf moon is likely because wolf packs were heard howling in January. March's worm moon is named for signs of earthworms appearing in the warmer ground. To add to this moon gazing, there's a pair of penumbral lunar eclipses coming this summer.
A lunar eclipse happens when the sun, the earth, and the moon line up in a straight line in space, with the earth smack in the middle. The sun shines light on the earth, which casts a shadow, and as the moon moves deeper into that shadow, it appears to turn a dark reddish color. Why red? Because the atmosphere is filtering out the blue light. Some people have nicknamed this effect the blood moon. NASA says that lunar eclipses typically happen at least twice a year, but not all of them are total. There are actually 3 different types. A penumbral eclipse is when the moon passes through the outskirts of the Earth's shadow. NASA says this is so subtle, you might not even notice. A partial eclipse is when the moon dips into part of the Earth's shadow, but not all of it, so only a portion of the moon turns dark. A total eclipse is the best. That's when the entire moon is in the Earth's shadow, turning it that deep red color. Remember, you don't need a telescope or any special equipment to view a lunar eclipse, but having binoculars or a telescope might make it more fun. Either way, just go outside, find the moon, and enjoy.
Smart factories like a BMW plant in southeastern Germany give a glimpse of Industry 4.0, also known as the fourth revolution in manufacturing. It'll be more reliant than ever on technology, robotics, and artificial intelligence. But it comes with some problems. Two of the ones that BMW faced included the additional cost of setting it up and the time lost in doing so. It can be very expensive for manufacturers to switch from the older machines they have to the newer ones of Industry 4.0. Experts expect some older jobs will be lost. Those gained will require a different, more technological skill set. And whenever you have a more connected environment, you have concerns about security in case it's hacked. But once everything is set up,
Rheinsberg is one of Germany's best preserved medieval cities. It's home to one of the country's oldest bridges, oldest restaurants, and most modern factories.
We've got an award from the World Economic Forum as the factory of the future.
This historic town's high-tech hub is one of today's most progressive plants, and it's at the forefront of Industry 4.0. Over 100 years ago, an American industrialist forever changed how the world works. Literally. Henry Ford cut the time needed to build cars in half with the industry's first moving assembly line in 1913. And the way we make things has been evolving ever since. The next generation of manufacturing won't just take place on the factory floor. It'll also happen on computers and in the cloud.
The smart factory is a smart way of using new technologies, new ideas to get the innovations on the next level.
Smart factories are often fully connected facilities where employees harness an endless supply of data to streamline production. These plants could add at least $1.5 trillion to the global economy in the next 3 years.
I don't think that I'm smart enough to give you the entire overview of every technology we're using here.
In a factory with more than 3,000 connected machines, it's no wonder Frank has a hard time remembering each innovation. A custom-made Internet of Things platform links these tools with materials which receive laser-printed labels, allowing info to be analyzed and tracked every step of the way.
Now we can combine data. What was humidity? What was the temperature? What was the flow of the cars in the line? Is there any connection which is explaining why we had a problem? If we understand these interfaces, then we can prevent that happening in the future again.
Assembly line teams wear smartwatches and gloves that help customize cars quicker, and autonomous vehicles streamline logistics by delivering parts. These technologies allowed BMW to cut the time needed to deploy new applications by 80% and reduce quality issues by 5%. It also landed the plant on the World Economic Forum's list of the most technologically advanced factories in January 2019. Of more than 1,000 contenders worldwide, only 7 were picked. Despite the buzz around the potential of new tech, Frank says that there's one resource that always outshines.
A smart factory is driven by smart people. Changing conventional processes is always a challenge. The only way to do that is if you take the people with you.
Artist Carrie Johns says she thinks of herself as a big kid. Her favorite canvas is popular with a lot of kids. It's an Etch-a-Sketch, like the plastic kind with the knobs and the 1960 technology and the "it's really hard to do this on one" factor. Johns can sketch a small detailed picture in an hour or two. She says her secret to getting good was practice, and to keep the finished picture from shaking out, she saws the box open and dumps out the powder, which some would tell you is a sketchy way to etch a stylish image without having to start over with a clean slate every time you're shaking up. It's not for everyone, but if you like the idea of scratching out a living by blurring the line between artistry and playtime, it's something to toy with once you've worked out the twists and turns of all that screen time and you never have to pick out a frame. Hey, there is one way to get your school mentioned on CNN 10. Please subscribe to our official YouTube channel and leave a comment on the most recent show that could get you mentioned on the next show. I don't personally pick the schools, but I hope all y'all get on, like the International School of Panama in Panama City, Panama. Congrats, guys. I'm Carl Azuz.